Hey guys, Shane Kevin here. In this introduction video, we will take a look at how to use the tree collection, how the variation and wind effect works, how to populate trees in your own scene. In order to simplify the whole workflow, every species contains 3 different variations. The high poly one has more leaves and more segments, so they looks more round, full and healthy. The low poly one has less leaves and less segments, which looks younger. The medium is somewhere between them. Every tree has the same modifier structure. 2-point cache modifier for wind and variation. The low poly one has turbo smooth, which is switched off by default. Usually it can be turned on when you prefer a close look camera view. Let's also take a look at the folder structure. Every species also has the same folder structure. Standard, Octane, Fstorm, Corona are supported. Every tree sharing 2-point cache files, which is var for variation and wind for wind effects. The var PC2 file contains 5 different variations to a single tree, which means one tree can create 5 different shapes. Of course they are all fine tweaked, not just a simple seed value. Each variation has its own wind effect, which means 5 variations with 5 different wind effects. And yes, they are all stored into a single PC2 file. By using this method, we can quickly create up to 15 different trees and 15 wind effects, for only using these 3 models. So one tree plus one PC2 file will create 5 variations. One more PC2 file creates 5 wind effects. Of course all wind effects stored into one single PC2. That's how you get many benefits on this. Take the low poly one as an example. Isolate the low poly one. By default the wind modifier is on. All wind effect is being set to a gentle wind. The wind effect is seamless and looping, so that it can be unlimited animation. To set up a variation, scroll down to the bottom. Change the frame value from 0 to 4, which is 5 variations in total. Every tree has 5 variations, so frame 0 to 4 adds up to 5 variations. Each variation has its own seamless wind. By changing one value you get 5 different shapes. The wind strength can be adjusted. Set the playback strength to lower value. Gives you a very gentle breeze. Or, higher this value creates a hurricane wind. Usually you don't need this, by default 1 is good. The wind is unlimited, seamless and looping. It's been already set up correctly. The wind effect will continue to the end, no matter how long the time frame is. Every tree shader has been well tweaked. One diffuse texture creates 3 leaf variations. Also every tree has bark ID equals 4. Take Octane Render as an example. All shaders are created by procedural nodes, except for the diffuse texture. So the workflow becomes more simple. The matte library file is also provided. With this mini library, you can drag one into scene, and you get totally different looks of the tree. And yes, this also can apply to all 180 trees. The real-time feedback is so lovely. It clears immediately when I stop rotate the viewport. The provided PDF also has great info for all trees. You can find more info in this PDF file. Triangle counts in video RAM usage for every tree. However, in Octane 3.x version, the video RAM cost is greatly increased. This is because of the new parallel option. So if you reduce this value to 1, you get less video RAM cost. However, this is still too much video RAM usage. Same tree in 1.9 cost 328 megabytes, which is 294 megabytes plus HDR usage equals 328 megabytes. In 1.55B the video RAM cost is even less. Same tree in Fstorm v0.2.5. The video RAM cost is less than Octane 3.x, but higher than Octane 1.x to 2.x. In FS, everything is the same as before. The FS mini library is also provided. You can still do the same thing in Fstorm. The tree looks more nature in FS, but a bit slower. Same tree in Corona 1.4. In this case, no video RAM cost at all, cause Corona is a CPU-based renderer. We also can use some well-known plugins to populate the scene. Forest Pack or Multi-Scatter will do the job. In this case, I use Forest 5.1.0 as example. In order to set it up correctly, we have two options to make it works. The first option is very easy to understand. Simply duplicate 5 times with copy option. Use Forest Pack to pick up those 5 copies. Now you can get 5 wind animations. Option 2 can use only one tree to create 5 variations, which will saving lots of compute power, such as memory, video RAM, reduce file size. However, this cannot apply wind effects. Let's first take a look at how option 1 works. Randomly merge one of the low poly trees. Duplicate as copy option for 4 times to get 5 trees. Go to modifier panel and choose the variation modifier. Change each copy's frame value to 1.0. Do the same thing to the rest. You should get 5 variations now. Frame 0 to 4 adds up to 5 variations. Now you get 5 different shapes. Each variation has its own wind effects. The next step is pretty easy. Simply create a FP object, then pick all 5 trees. Now you get 5 trees populated to scene. Usually this can now render as a still image, or a camera animation without wind effects. In order to enable wind effects, you need to go to the animation rollout. Choose follow geometry option. Now you have wind effects. However, leave 5 copies and scene will need longer saving time. The solution is convert to a proxy will do the job. Make sure the range is set to 0 to 50 frames. You only need 50 frames to looping the wind. Also don't forget to change animation mode. Finally you can hit the render button now. I simply didn't tweak any forest pack value. And I get super smooth real-time feedback. All trees are extremely optimized for render speed. In this case, I use one GTX 880M laptop GPU, which is a very poor performance video card. The performance for this card is roughly between GTX 750 Ti to GTX 770. But the render speed is amazingly fast. I've also tested the Fstorm render, which is even faster in some case. Back to business, let's see option 2. In this case, you simply merge one tree. Let's drop a FP object first and pick the tree. Now you got one variation all over the place. I reduce the intensity to get smooth recording. Select the tree and turn off wind modifier, cause option 2 cannot work with wind effects. Change playback option to original range, cause forest pack prefer this option. Now you got the variations changing frame by frame. The next step is very important. Change animation mode to frame from map. Change start equals 0 and end equals 4. Now find the effects rollout. Import the effect code to lock the sample. Change the value to 5 because we have 5 variations in total, which is frame 0 to frame 4. Now we have 5 trees populated to scene. In option 2, you don't need to copy trees. You just left the tree in scene and let FP do its job. However, this cannot apply wind effects, cause the tree itself is animated by point cache. Anyway, this can be rendered as a still image. But if you need wind, you have to use option 1. That's all. Thanks for watching. For more information, please visit kshane.com.